everybody thinks they're going to have a successful exit.
Right.
And what a successful exit means is you're going to sell your business for millions of dollars and retire and go buy a yacht. And the reality is a lot of business owners will not have a successful exit because they don't know their numbers.
Right.
They're not paying themselves correctly, and they don't have a plan B. And so, I think what we see often is business owners are not investing enough in their personal bucket in case they don't have a big enough exit to cover what they want to retire on and what they want to live on.
Hey everyone, it's Tamara Thompson with Broadcast Your Authority. We're back for another episode. You guys are going to not want to miss this for sure. We're going to talk about finances and things like that. And of course, all business owners and people watching this video need to hear this information for sure. I'm your host, Tamara Thompson, and I'm going to have my co-host, Rhonda Britton, actually introduce our next guest. Rhonda.
And I cannot wait to do it because Kaitlyn Laney is awesome. I mean, I've just been spending some time with her, and she is just the kindest, smartest, and I can't wait to tell the world about you. So Kaitlyn is a dedicated, certified financial planner, and when you meet her, that's not what you think. No. Right? Because she's not cold. She's not like business. She's not like
dry.
She's not dry. Ooh, that's a good word. She's not dry. That is for sure. She emphasizes taking action and avoiding procrastination. Everybody listening to that when advising individuals, families, small business owners she works with. For more than a decade, she's been doing this. She has countless clients in what she calls the financial front seat. That's where she puts them. And she helps them to enjoy their life while in protecting their retirement and their legacy. And legacy is a big deal as we move in our businesses. I know that's what I think about a lot. We're so excited when we first open our business. We want to make money, but then we're like, oh, wait, I don't have any. Yeah. I don't have any left.
Right.
So I'm so excited about what you do. But you have some awards, girl. Rising Star from Intel. You have the Woman Business Owner Award from NABO. And fun fact, you're not going to believe this one, Division I goalie in water polo from Arizona State. So I must know, because I've been talking to you a little bit, how did you become a certified financial planner? And how did you get into the finance business?
I love asking business owners this question. It's probably my favorite question when I sit down with clients is, how did you get into what you do? For me, it was really interesting and I kind of fell into it. Probably, very similar to all of you. I was raised by a single mom. She had 3 kids in the Bay Area, complete hustler. And my father passed away when I was 18. And so from a very early age, I saw from both of my parents what it meant to hustle and drive and grit. And both of my parents were first-generation college graduates, and they had great businesses, and they had the ability to make money but not keep it. Mm-hmm. And, my mother had a successful exit. She ran a wound and ostomy clinic with a plastic surgeon in the Bay Area, sold it so she could become a mom and be a stay-at-home mom. And that was her dream. She wanted to be a mom. And unfortunately, her second husband, my stepfather, she gave all of the money to, which is such a common theme, right? Especially among women, and trusted that he would just take care of the family. And, we're talking millions. And within 8 years, it was all gone. Mm-hmm. And she had to start over. And so that was so eye-opening to watch my mom go through starting over in her 50s of this huge successful business exit that she had to create this dream. And thank God she never let her nursing license lapse. Thank God she always really made sure that her craft was honed. So when she needed to turn the keys on to get the car started again, she was able to do it, not seamlessly. It took a decade, but she was able to do it. Whereas, it would have, derailed a lot of people. And that was such a good lesson for me. And okay, how do I make sure that cycle ends here?
Yes.
And how do I get in the financial front seat? How do I make sure our mortgage gets paid? What is a mortgage? What are bills? How do you automate bills? What's the difference between saving and investing? So I think seeing my mom go through those struggles, and here she is now, she's retired. She lives on a golf course. She retired at 58, with a very healthy retirement. And I'm so proud of her. And what a great example for all of us. But she would never have been able to do that if she didn't figure out how to get financially free herself. And I was committed to taking that to the next level for my kids too. And so that's where, when my father died at 18, I thought, okay, there's got to be a better way. Right. There has to be a better way. And yes, I want a partner that I can trust but how do we trust but verify they're doing what they're supposed to be doing?
Right.
And what does that look like? And so that was really what ignited my passion for figuring out this stuff called finance. And that's, I've spent the last 2 decades really honing my expertise working with big firms. And in 2018, I took that, I left the big office firms and I started my own company. And that was the scariest, craziest, but best decision I ever did.
Well, it's scary. Money is scary for most people, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a scary topic.
Scary in your business, scary in your personal life. It's just scary. It's complicated.
It
feels
scary,
like,
right? It's complicated. So I know you do something called tax mitigation, right? And I know tax cuts are ending in 2026. Like, what advice would you give to individuals and families?
So, I'll answer that in a second, but I want to circle back to money is scary because that is such a very common, that's very normal, but it's also very dispowering. It's a disempowering word.
Yes.
And so for folks listening right now, I really would encourage you to write down one sentence of what is your relationship with money? What is this money story that you are telling yourself right now, today?
Mm-hmm.
And when you write that down, this is how I feel, and this is what I have. And read that out loud and see how many disempowering words there are and physically cross those out and say, I am great with money.
Right.
I am great at investing. I am great at making money. And, sales equals more runway for my business. Money isn't dirty. Sales isn't dirty. It is a way for us to facilitate what matters. Money is just a tool. And just like anything,
it's energy,
we need to learn how to use our tools. You don't just pick up a hammer and hit the nail the first time, right? It takes some practice. And so that's where with money, for people listening who do feel overwhelmed, who don't necessarily feel like they can get their arms around it easily, one, ask for help. But also really lean into what is your story with money and how is it a tool in your life and how are you flexing that tool? In terms of taxes, that's a really interesting conversation that we talk a lot about with our clients is the biggest bill, especially for business owners, the biggest bill you will have in your business is taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Make no mistake about it. And so if you do not have your arms around what your expenses are and what your cash flow is and what your tax bill is, you're missing the boat. And so, that's the biggest mistake I see business owners make. A lot of small business owners, they're not getting eaten up or they're not failing from competition. They're failing from, themselves. They're in their own way.
Right.
And nobody wants to call their baby ugly. Right. My business is beautiful. Look at it. It's so cute. It does all these products. I have all these sales. It's so wonderful. Okay. But how do we level up? How do we get to the next level? And the next level is you need to understand cash flow. And that's the biggest mistake I see, especially business owners in their first 10 years is, they have these great business concepts, but they don't really have a good grasp around cash flow. And that is the number one pillar in terms of understanding how you're going to pay yourself, pay your employees, and keep your business running.
What have you seen the biggest mistakes with people with cash flow?
Not paying themselves the correct way.
Paying too much,
not paying themselves
payroll.
And women do that more than anybody else. They don't pay themselves, which the IRS doesn't like that either. But it's not good for you because then you're not valuing your own time, right?
And so there's two big things that people listening, but especially business owners, need to understand about taxes is there's two different types of tax treatments. One is ordinary income and one is distribution income. And you need to Google those terms. Ordinary income, what are those tax brackets? You need to print them out, have them on your desk, know what they are.
Can you be our Google today?
You give us financial planner, right?
Yes. And so we obviously help clients that hire us with that. But, for the fact of for today is, you want to pay yourself a salary. Of course, you have to. But the real way you make money in your business is you have equity in your company. And you pay yourself dividends. You pay yourself business distributions. And that tax treatment is far less than your salary. And so that's the way you move money through your business is keeping equity in it. And I think that's a really important key component. And a big mistake that we see business owners make is they're not paying themselves a fair and reasonable salary. They're not paying themselves at all. And they have no idea what their cash flow really looks like day to day. They're focusing on, they have no future projections. It's whack-a-mole, right? It's like, hey, we paid all of our bills today. I have money in my operating account. This is great.
Have you seen it on the opposite spectrum where they're paying themselves too much? You ever see that scenario?
Yes, I have seen themselves. So let me answer that differently. We all want to make millions of dollars, right? That's the goal, outside of the lottery, we want to do it organically. But, I think one of the things is everybody thinks they're going to have a successful exit.
Right.
And what a successful exit means is you're going to sell your business for millions of dollars and retire and go buy a yacht. And the reality is a lot of business owners will not have a successful exit because they don't know their numbers.
Right.
They're not paying themselves correctly and they don't have a plan B. And so great, you have the successful exit. Wonderful. Everything is great. But what happens if you don't? What's your backup plan? And that's what I see missing is there's no backup plan. Especially once you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in your operating account. That's typically when folks sit down with us is saying, okay, we have a great runway. Our business has made it. We've kind of hit that arc of trajectory. Now we have all this money in our operating account. What do we do with it? Because you don't want to invest it in your bank. Do not open an IRA or a SEP IRA at a bank ever, ever, ever. They do not know how to invest money because they're going to take your money and invest it themselves, right? That's how banks get paid. And so, I think what we see often is business owners are not investing enough in their personal bucket in case they don't have a big enough exit to cover what they want to retire on and what they want to live on.
I really wish they would have done. So I know, I learned to play like the recorder and did square dancing in school, which was super helpful for my everyday life. But one thing that now that I'm
it's not.
Yes,
I know it's like crazy.
I mean, other than yesterday when I was playing the recorder while I was square dancing, but I find like
it was a good moment.
It was a good moment, but it's hard to understand like how to invest, what to invest in. And like, I know I've asked a few people in my life who I respect and they like start vomiting information at me. And I'm like, well, now I'm more confused than I ever was before. Like, what do you open for your, and so I would almost think that you said they come to you at a certain point in their business. I would almost argue they should come earlier on. And it's almost like my bandwagon this year has been like, women get to wellness, like a functional wellness, like MD earlier on before it's too late. Because if you don't start like tracking yourself, right? And until you're in your 40s, whatever. So if you can get to you when you have maybe just 50,000 in the account or whatever it is, right? Like then they're gonna be able to watch it and you can see it and the percentages. And it's almost like you have a more you're getting in there before it's too late. Or I don't know, do you feel the same way or do you feel like they should wait until they're at that bigger bucket?
One of my business beliefs is you never get to where you want to go alone. Especially
100%.
as a former athlete. My husband was an athlete. He trained,
teamwork makes the dream work.
It does. It really does. And if you look at some of the best athletes in the world, and we have the Olympics coming up here in July in Paris, is, those athletes at the top of their level, they don't have one coach. They have multiple coaches. They have a nutritionist. They have, their stretch coaches. They have financial coaches. They have a whole team around them. And, business owners, there's nothing that's different there, right? Is if you want to take your business to the next level, who are you asking for advice? Who are your mentors? Who is coaching you? Who is educating you? And how are you leveling up? And I think, to your point, absolutely, because it's never the truck we see that hits us. Right. It's always a blind spot.
That's a great analogy.
It's always a blind spot. And so, you get what you pay for. Are you going to pay for great advice? Do you want great advice? And so that's the key there. And so the folks that come to us, they want a partner in planning. They're looking for CFO services and they hire us as a retainer. And we evaluate that on an annual basis. For business owners starting out, we might not be the right fit. We can give them a checklist of, hey, these are some things to think about because I think value is really important. And so I think for our firm, we have a very strong fit process of we're going to sit down with people and say, hey, this is where you are right now. You need to focus on getting your certification.
Right.
You need to go talk to Heather. You need to focus on marketing your book and getting here. And then once you're here, then it's time to hire us. And so that's, I think, what's really great about our firm and our process is most financial firms will not sit down with you unless you send in your balance sheet. Which is uncomfortable, right? It's like getting naked in front of somebody. You don't want to share everything. And so, that's a really good analogy is when you sit down in front of your financial coach, your personal CFO, they need to see everything under the hood. And that is uncomfortable.
Right.
And so, we're really transparent around what we do, how we add value, where we expect you to be in the next 12 months and what you're going to pay to get there. And I think the folks that have gone through that process, what I hear often is, oh my gosh, I wish I had met you 10 years ago. And that's what I want people to say. I don't want people to say, oh yeah, that's my financial advisor. They make us money, right? Right. So that's not what we want. We really want them to say, wow, at the end of an engagement with us, or, oh my gosh, this was life changing. This is going to make a difference in multiple generations because we have set things up the right way.
Right.
And so that's really what we strive for.
Do you know what I love about you? First of all, you debunk the myths about money. Like you're willing to put it on the table and say, change your relationship, change how you're talking about money, reorganize it, figure it out, be empowered about money. And so I also know you have this retire with dignity. And from hearing your story, hearing about your mom and all of that, I can see that passion. So can you share more about that part of it, what it means to you to retire with dignity?
So, I'll share a story. So my father was a Marine and, he grew up with nothing, absolutely nothing, and put himself through college. He worked at Texas Instruments and was really into computers. And nobody ever talked to him about investing or stocks. That was back in the day where you called your broker, who was at Morgan Stanley.
Yeah.
And guess what? Morgan Stanley was telling the broker what to sell because they had they had a stake in that stock, not because it was good for you. And so I saw my father almost blow his entire retirement because he trusted his broker.
Yeah.
And there is a big difference between a broker and a financial advisor who is a fiduciary, who isn't getting paid commissions or compensation, who is on your side of the table. Right. And when he died, there was not a lot there, unfortunately. And, he had a couple different brokers, we'll call them advisors for back then. And I remember sitting in that table feeling so lost, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to put myself through college? My mom's a single mom. She's starting over. Life was just nuts. It was one of those moments in life where you're like, every 6 months, somebody, the dog was dying, someone gets cancer, someone's, selling the house, someone's getting divorced. It was just like, and that took me a while to get over of when is the next shoe going to drop. Yes. And for me, growing up in that constant state of almost shockwaves is financial freedom was to be able to sleep at night knowing I could absorb a couple shockwaves. And I think that's where that comes from for me is putting myself through school. I remember my senior year, I had a $12,000 tuition bill. And I think I had $8,000 in my checking account. And I thought, okay, where am I going to come up with $3,000? I need to graduate. I have a job offer. I worked all summer. I mean, there's not much more I can do. And I walked into Wells Fargo and I said, hey, this is the situation. And it was so scary. 21, 22 years old, walking into the bank asking for, hey, I need $5,000. Right. Like, how does that work? Like, oh, do you have your social? Wait, let me go back home to get my social security card. You know what I mean? Like, those are things that you just are, oh my gosh, how do I do this? And Wells Fargo gave me a personal line of credit, which, by the way, I still have to this day.
Wow.
And that was what, got me through. And, I think I never wanted to feel that way, but more importantly, I wanted to empower other people that are in that spot. Is you're not alone. I have been there myself. We have all had moments where we're like, all right, we're having popcorn tonight.
Right.
ramen. It was all great. But you're not alone. We've all been there and it's figure outable. We got this. We got you. Let's lay it out on the table. Let's see all your chess pieces and let's put you in a stronger position in a year from now. Let's go.
Kaitlyn, you said something earlier about they were brokers, not financial advisors. And it's interesting you said that because I find that I have kind of this like knee-jerk reaction to the title financial advisor, because there's been MLMs that consider themselves financial advisors, right? There's different things. So how do you advise? What would your advice be for somebody looking for a financial advisor? How do they know they're the real deal?
Yeah.
How do they know, right? How do they know they're not going to be one of these people who puts a because I can call myself Queen Unicorn in Charge if I want to, right? Like, but it needs to be more than a title. Like,
she's certified.
I'm certified.
You're the expert. You're certified though.
How do you find out the trust can really be there?
Speed to trust is huge. I think there's 3 things you absolutely need to ask every single person you interview that's on your team, whether that's your financial advisor, that your CFO, your treasurer, whatever. There's 3 questions you want to ask, but before we get into those 3 questions, you got to trust your gut.
Right.
You know, I think we, especially our intuition, you know, we have had so many little life experiences along the way that add up to a sum total of really good decision making, especially for business owners. You know, you're usually in that spot because you can handle a certain amount of
on the spot decision making.
Yeah. I mean, you got to make decisions quickly as a business owner. Let's be honest, right? Like, okay, on to the next, on to the next.
Yes.
And so I think number one, you got to trust your gut. But, you know, the three, and you got to like them, right? Hopefully.
Right. If they're doing this.
Right. Yeah. Trust me.
Yeah. So I've had clients for decades. You know, I love these people, right? I'm taking their phone call at like 7:00 at night, right? You don't want to cringe when they call or they cringe when you call. So you got to like them. You got to trust your gut. That's get in the door. But I would say the first question is, you know, how do you help me? How are you my advocate? And see what they say.
That's a good one.
And the second one is, how do you get paid?
Oh, how do you get paid? Yes.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And so there's two ways financial advisors get paid. For those listening, is one, they get paid by the products they sell you through loads and commissions. That's usually not the person you want to hire, because you don't that you hope that they're selling you stuff that's in your best interest. But at that point, from a compensation standpoint, you don't really know. And the second is fee-based. And so if you make money, they make money, because it's a percentage of the assets they're managing for you. So fee-based is what you want to be looking for or listening for. And so how do you get paid? And then the third is, are you a certified financial planner and fiduciary? So a certified financial planner is a really important designation. And, you know, any Joe Blow with a degree in a Series 7 can call themselves a financial advisor, 100%. The CFP takes over a year. There's a number of different, I think there's 8. Oh God, it's so long ago now, I can't even remember. But there's like 8 tests you have to pass. It is a pretty extensive. It's like a master's degree in finance.
Wow.
And so, you know, I think that is a really important designation. And I remember going through that thinking, I'm a good advisor. I don't really need this, but I'll go through it because it's a box. I want to check, whatever. And I remember going through that thinking, wow, this has really elevated my financial planning approach. And I changed a few things in my business as a result of that certification, which is interesting. And I wasn't expecting that when I went through that in 2016 now. But, and ever since then, I think, you know, you want to make sure you're working with somebody that doesn't stop learning too.
Right.
You know, if you're bringing questions to your financial advisor and they have answers for everything.
Right.
Really?
I love when someone tells me I don't know, but let me find out for you.
Yeah.
I love when someone tells me that.
I can't tell you how many meetings I have with clients. You know, I have a client last week. She has a daughter that is, you know, having a baby. She lives about an hour away in a beautiful $2 million house that she doesn't want to get rid of, but she wants to be like 15 minutes from her daughter.
Right.
So she's like, okay, is it crazy if I buy a house like down the street from her? And I'm like, I don't think so, but let me think about that. What would that look like? How would that go about? And she had a few ideas. And I said, you know, I'm not quite sure what this could look like. Let me sleep on it. Give me 3 or 4 days. Let's talk next week. Let me run some scenarios. Let me stress test your plan. And let's see what this could look like over the next 5 years. Because let's be real, you're not going to have 2 houses for more than 5 years. This is a short season. Let's see if the plan can handle it. And so if you don't have an advisor that's like having those types of in-depth brainstorming sessions with you about how your money can work for you, then they're probably not the right person, right? So I think those are the 3 really big criteria.
Those are great.
You want to like them. How do you work for me? How do you get paid? And are you a fiduciary?
Wow. Lots to learn.
That was great.
I know. I feel like I've learned a ton.
I know.
Too. I feel like I need to take notes or something.
I know.
Like,
Have you had someone come to you? Because it says you also do families, right? So it's not just small businesses, it's families and individuals as well. So when people, I'm sure, look, right now, I mean, eggs alone, I need like a second mortgage for at this point, right?
I know. I really want chickens. My husband's going to have to take care of them, so I just have to convince him. But
I feel like life is very expensive right now, more than it's ever been. The people, like growing up in the 90s, I'm like, ooh, I can do this. I can adult. Nope, wrong. I cannot. Right. It's very hard right now. So like when people come to you, obviously it's changed over the last 18 months, right? Has your advice changed them? And are there people that you're like, listen, I don't know what you're going to have to do, but you're going to have to do, like, if you've had to have those hard heart-to-hearts with people, because like not everybody grew up thinking forward like you did, right? So I'm sure there's people in are in a tight spot right now. And you see obviously those ads where they're like, there's no reason in 2024 you should be in debt. I'm like, who are you?
At the grocery store?
That is not a bad
do you have any responsibilities, right?
This is such a heart question for me. My biggest fear as an advisor is that I give somebody advice and they run out of money. And, a lot of business owners.
Like in that George Foreman movie, that's what happened to him.
It happens.
Yeah.
And so I think flawless execution, expertise really matters in my business. There's business owners you talk to and they fail all the time, right? Oh, I just, close it down. I have insurance for that. I'll go open another business,
Yes.
And so you can't do that in my business. I manage people's life savings. This is not a drill. We have to know what we're doing. We have to make sure that we're protecting people from themselves, from the market, from crashes. There's a lot of different things that can derail and blow up your plan.
Yes.
And nobody plans on a life ambush, but we all have them.
Yeah.
We've all had friends that have gotten that cancer diagnosis. We've all had friends that husbands died unexpectedly, or kids are diagnosed with something like, autism, or we had a baby that we're going to need to take care of. We're saving for 2 retirements. And so I think that question is not lost on me because it is so important that we're stress testing your plan for the different scenarios that could blow you up. And so do I have clients that come in where their plan fails? Absolutely. It's the hardest meeting I have.
Yeah.
And and you don't go into it lightly, but people don't hire us because we tell them what they want to hear. They hire us because they tell them what they need to hear. And I tell you, the only times that I've been fired in the last 15 years by clients is clients that wanted to go out and buy RVs and buy Range Rovers and do a bunch of stuff. They can do whatever they want with their own money, but hey, these are the costs. This is the opportunity cost. This is going to impact your plan, and you are off track, and it is not going to be good if you need certain things. And
I found Joe Blow, who was like, "Yeah, go do it."
Yeah, knock yourself out.
Well, I like it because you're a truth teller.
Exactly.
And I think that's a powerful thing in this world,
especially
is
in
to
that
find
position.
someone that's a truth teller, and you're like, that trust is right there. So then I think people are willing to say, okay, look, this is what's on the table. And they take back, they can hear your truth because they trust you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And two is money management is a really important piece that I probably don't talk about enough. Is we're really good at money management. And I think too is we're not necessarily good at, hitting home runs. That's not why people hire us. We're good at not losing your money.
Kaitlyn, I have a business idea for you if you don't know how to do this.
Give me all the ideas.
Do you do classes for teens? But how, so they...
It's not the demographic, but
yes. But no, more just families. I'm saying there's, like my kids hustle. So they already have savings account. They're probably not the right ones. So I'm saying it would be great for teens to have a place. Maybe it's not you. So you partner with somebody. I don't know. Outsource it. I'm saying I think it's an interesting, these teenagers, they want to learn. And obviously you learned at a young age. You were learning as a teenager, clearly.
I was so blessed to grow up in some really phenomenal teaching firms like Vanguard and Fidelity, where I got some of the best training at 20 years old, right? And so for me, I'm really passionate about young people understanding money, but especially young women.
Right.
Is, how many people, when you make a decision, you make it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
If your husband asks you, hey, what do you think about this? And you're like, I don't know, I trust you, whatever. That's not a team. That's not necessarily a great way to communicate. Even if your husband is more in the financial front seat and that's not your day-to-day role, you still want to be a sounding board, because guess what? If the two of you were the same, both of you wouldn't be needed. One of you wouldn't be needed, right? You're married because there's something unique and different you bring to the table. So if you are the spouse that happens to not be the person driving the financial front seat, you need to know enough to ask really good questions to help the partner that is in behind the driver's seat to navigate better. And I would say you're the person helping navigate that car. And if you're not helping your spouse ask better questions, don't be upset when you can't retire at 58 or 60 or 62, or you can't pay for your kids' college, or you have to take out a loan, right? Because you're just as responsible for your nest egg as he is or she is.
Right.
And so that starts when you're 15, when you're 16, that money mindset really matters. And, they don't teach what you really need to know in school. They don't teach how to balance a checkbook.
I'm saying
So the great thing that I will say is there's a lot of resources out there for young people already. And, there's going to be a link on this podcast of how to book a free consultation with me. So if folks listening are really wanting to understand, okay, what do I need to know? How do I get in the financial front seat for my business? How do I build a personal benefits package, right? You're a business owner. How do I create a benefits package for myself? Oh, and by the way, I have young kids. What should I be teaching them? Those are all things that we help, everybody, but especially business owners navigate and putting resources in front of you. But, someday maybe I'll do a class, but my bandwidth,
the idea out there for
my bandwidth is a little tight.
You have such a wealth of knowledge, and this leads me actually into the last question. So we've talked about who you help and who you focus on working with. I know you work out of Scottsdale, Arizona, your company. Do you primarily work with the state of Arizona, or can you work with other people, individuals? That's my last question. Can you work with business owners that aren't in Arizona?
Yeah. So my home base or office is in North Scottsdale, Arizona, but I have business owners all over the country. We're in Denver for the summer right now, meeting with folks and working with folks. And so, I have clients in Michigan and Florida. So yes, especially with the world of Zoom now, it really opens things up really nicely. And I think one of the things that we do that's very unique for business owners is we're going to meet with your C-suite team. We're going to really sit down and say, okay, hey, if you could have better benefits, what would that look like with you not in the room? And so those are some things that we discuss is, hey, what are some activities that we could potentially dial up for your employees for retention and creating golden handcuffs within your company to not only make it more sellable and have a higher multiple, but also keep the people that you need to manage your business there.
What's the best way for people that are listening to this show to contact you and your team?
So you can go to our website, mytrekwealth.com, and book a consultation with me anytime. There'll also be a link, I think, on this podcast where you can download. And then we also have a worksheet for folks that are thinking, okay, can I retire? What does that look like? What are the steps? Because sometimes it's intimidating to set up a meeting with somebody like me when you're like, what do I even need to know? What do I even need to bring? So we also have a worksheet around, hey, here are 4 things you should fill out that you should have an idea about. That way, when you sit down with us, it's going to be a much more actionable meeting for you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Kaitlyn, for coming out here, flying out here from Arizona into the Vegas studio today. So I extremely appreciate you. You're super valuable, super smart. Everybody that's listening to this show today, definitely reach out to Kaitlyn if it seems like this is a right fit for you. Super intelligent woman here that has a great track record. Check out her website in the link below, and we'll make sure we put that worksheet for you as well so that people can connect. If you're watching this show, you like it, be sure to subscribe. Ring that bell, subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, definitely download and subscribe to our channels. We really appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next episode.